that's exactly what I was just saying. Like, they want to use you for their own gain. It has nothing to do with you. You're just being objectified for what you can give another person, not so much that they see you and they respect you and they look up to you and they want to have a relationship with you. If you're meeting women or men in the environment out there like this, run. Sometimes in the pursuit of finding love and understanding the opposite sex, things can be really complicated. And I think in the culture, there are a lot of truths and a lot of myths about the opposite sex that we sometimes enforce and don't understand how they can work against us. So I found this video that I wanted to react to because a lot of what she says I find very true. But then there are other points that she makes that I find there are alternate views on. And I really wanted to put my input as an empath and as a woman into this mix so that there isn't a single story that men are believing in about women. The truth is, men and women are dynamic individuals, and based on their experience, they require and look for different traits in people. So if you're only believing one single story about the opposite sex and you're maybe getting hurt by that, maybe you can't fulfill those roles that are being put before you, maybe that's not allowing you to be in your nature and your authenticity, then some of these cultural myths can really cause harm in your psyche and your ability to feel like you're valid and that you can go out there and pursue a love interest without being ridiculed, shamed, or rejected. So I wanted to give an alternate view on how I feel about some of these truths that this influencer has put out. Let's take a listen.
10 of the harshest realities about women that men learn too late. So if you get easily triggered, go ahead and click off now. And FYI, this might be a very detailed video because I want to make sure that I cover all bases. Number one, you will be used for what you lead with. As you interact with a woman, she will assess your strengths and weaknesses and determine what you have to offer along the way. It's important to be fully aware and cognizant of the fact that if you put on a strong emphasis on showcasing your wealth and status, you will be seen as a source of material benefits with little to nothing more to offer because you have set the stage for that. It's similar to a woman who dresses very provocatively, does things for attention, then presents herself as easy. She sets the stage for men to view her as nothing more than what she's showing. On the other hand, if you lead with a no-nonsense authoritative demeanor, but also someone who displays your true self, showing genuine intentions and authenticity, she will be more likely to be appreciative and value you for who you are. The key here is to be mindful of what you present and how you present it. Understand that your actions and behavior will shape how you're perceived. So don't lead with anything that won't reciprocate genuineness from her. Number two, a woman.
That's really important and really good. I think what she's saying is so true. I don't think it's true for all women like me. If a person were to lead with money or their power or wealth, it wouldn't necessarily attract me into their kingdom. In fact, oftentimes, as far as a love interest goes, it would make me flee because I'm not interested in those values. But I think generally what she's saying is really true. How you lead with what you're putting out there to the world, what you're putting out there to that love interest, most people will take advantage of. They will see that as either attractive or unattractive, and if they're attracted, they will use you for that. So it's important to be mindful about what you're broadcasting out there. If you don't want women taking advantage of you, then broadcasting your status and flashing a rollie and status symbols can really attract the type of person that will want to take advantage of you and will want to level up their game through material wealth and status building. So it's important to be conscious of what it is that you're broadcasting out there about yourself, because this might actually be the problem. Let's move on to the next point.
2, a woman will run over you if you let her. If you don't assert your dominance and masculinity, a woman will run over you.
I feel like it's dangerous to put out a messaging that a woman will run over top of somebody if they don't assert their masculinity and dominance. The reason is because there are different ways that a person can present their masculinity and dominance, and some of those ways can be very violent and dangerous to other people. Let's say a person who has mental strength. If you are just a person that knows your physical strength, then asserting your dominance over another person could be very dangerous to them. So it really begs the question of what do you consider strength? Because your strength can come from a person who's integrated with their core truth that comes from their emotions, their senses, and is integrated with how their mind works, how their behavior is controlled, how their emotions can be regulated, and the way that they have kind of control over their impulses and their reactivity. True deep core strength comes from this way of knowing themselves internally. It doesn't necessarily come from physical dominance. Physical dominance does require you to discipline your mind, but you may not be able to process things at a deep internal level or reflect. So telling males that unless they assert their physical strength and dominance over a female, that she'll run over you is quite dangerous.
Once a woman perceives you as weak, your attraction level greatly diminishes in her eyes. If a man is too fearful, needy, or clingy, he's naturally more cautious with women because out of fear, he doesn't want to say no to them because he feels by doing this, he will lose them. It's a very slippery slope because once you start that cycle, it's damn near impossible to break out of it. We as humans haven't evolved that much from our ancestral days when life was about survival. During those times, food was eaten only in season and people worked extremely hard, so any sort of weakness or incompetence made you a burden that threatened the survival of the rest of the group. And just
weakness or incompetence, it begs the context of what do you consider weak or incompetent? That could be a multitude of things. So, and what she's saying is true thousands of years ago when we lived in primitive, primal ways, but we no longer need to live that way. We're now living in a very progressive society where emotional intelligence evolution is allowed for, where deep spiritual evolution is allowed for, where you can integrate the highest intelligence of all the mind-body system, not only for yourself to become the fullest, most incredible human being you can be, but also to root in deeper with another human being. So to look at things as in a primitive way actually sets back the culture.
Just like the rest of the group relied on your strength and competence for survival, so did your woman at home. So strength was and still is one of the most important attributes you can possess as a man. The weak men were left to die, and the strong men were leaders of the pack.
I really hate this terminology, weak men. What is a weak man? You're setting it up with the fact that women will dominate you if you don't come with your strength and dominance over the female. So what you're really creating is violence, and you're encoding men to believe that by intimidating a woman, that makes them a strong man. That's just not okay. That's very dangerous. There are a lot of scenarios where women have been extremely dominated and abused, and we should be very careful as women to send that messaging out.
Same is still true today. So for most women, if they see you as a weak man, they will take your place in being the man because subconsciously they see it as survival.
It's not so much that they have to take your place as a man. They're stepping in so that they don't fail, so that no one fails. If you're in a relationship where the man might be going through something and the woman feels the need to step in and take over, maybe she's the breadwinner, maybe she realizes she has to go back to work. It's an adaptive way of loving and supporting somebody. It doesn't mean that they're taking over as a man. It means that they are stepping in as a supportive partner.
Even though we're not living in those days anymore. Number 3 is nice guys usually do finish last. There's 2 main reasons that this statement is valid. The first reason is that she's not done playing the field. A major reason why nice guys finish last is because when a woman is done with her proverbial bad boy phase and the desire to be a wife and a mother start weighing heavy on her, she'll want to come back and settle down with a good man to...
First of all, what do I know about women who are into bad boys? They've had a lot of trauma baggage. So a lot of women are like me, are not into bad boys, have never been into bad boys, never one day of their lives. Always did I seek a nice guy, a respectful guy, a supportive man, someone who is intelligent and loving and caring. And I just want to put that out there. A lot of us really do respect and love good guys.
Start her life with. A nice guy is usually the last man she settles down with. The second reason is the nice guy stereotype. If you're a man who's described as sweet, sensitive, soft, or shy, the vast majority of girls won't be attracted to you. For men, being labeled with these characteristics are not desirable traits in the eyes of the majority of women.
I mean, I'm calling it. Like, they may not be desirable traits, like I said, in the type of women who carry around trauma and they have been changed by that trauma. Those women are playing out false image facades of strength. You know, I don't need you, defensiveness, putting up walls, playing games. That is somebody who has been traumatized and didn't know how to cope with it and developed a defensive strategy. That's not the majority of women. I don't want men to think that women all over the world want to be treated this way and that that's what they're looking for. Women who have been hurt, women who don't know how to cope with that hurt, will sometimes definitely put those walls up and be very defensive and guarded, just as any human being can be. But understand that when a woman behaves this way and when she lacks the ability to have intimacy with herself because she hasn't dealt with those wounds yet, she hasn't looked at the inside of what's really going on inside of herself and said, I'm going to take ownership of this. I'm going to be a better human because of it. I'm going to learn from them. I'm going to move past them. I'm going to heal them. And I'm going to know myself and my strength internally. These women that she's speaking about, they don't know how to do that because they're disassociated from their emotional intelligence and their ability to know all the different levels of intelligence within them and the strength that comes from that. So they learn a survivor's strength, the type of strength that's, I don't need you. I've got my own. I'm never going to rely on you. I'm never going to be vulnerable to you. You're going to have to pass an impossible gauntlet if you want to even try to get near me. And even then, there's no guarantees. So the question I always ask is, why do you want a woman like that? Because they're not ready. They're not ready to be a good partner to you. They're not ready to be fair to you, supportive. They're not ready to honor you. So if you're looking for girls like that, then you're really looking for somebody with a lot of baggage that doesn't have the strength of character to actually look at themselves in the mirror and own it and deal with it.
Societal norms and expectations portraying these traits as weaker or less attractive in men doesn't help any either. Because nice guys have the stigma of being boring and predictable, they are a major turnoff for the majority of women because they want to be with someone who demands respect, doesn't tolerate anything less than what he deserves, and leads without intimidation. Men who are overly focused on pleasing everyone else and constantly seeking approval are also lacking in authenticity, which comes off as insecure and inauthentic. Unfortunately, as long as passive labels are also associated with a nice guy persona, nice guys will always finish last. Number 4,
if you're playing a nice guy role, if you're broadcasting like, oh, I'm really a nice guy, I'm a nice guy, if that's like a role, like a persona you're playing, then yeah, people are going to pick up on that. Women are going to pick up on that. They're going to be like, you know, they're going to test it. But if you're actually a nice person, then they can see that too. And it's really about who you're going for, and if you're going for somebody who could give you what you're mirroring back. If you're a guy out there playing games and you go for the woman playing games, game on. If you're a guy out there looking for love and you are looking for nice girls, not girls who are filled with baggage and will treat you badly, then you can find that too. But if you're not conscious about the kind of girl you're looking for and what characteristic traits she's exhibiting, you can definitely get hurt.
Is most women lack empathy for men. Most women find it extremely hard to be empathetic with the plight of men. This is partly due.
Not me. I'm going to tell you that right now. As an empath, I am extremely compassionate towards what men go through. I see their struggles. I see the pressure that they experience and the lack of social validation around their struggles and their ability to talk about it and be open about it. There are some women who are not empathetic to men's issues, and it's simply because they're dealing with the level of stress and difficulty that they don't know how to cope with. Empathy is important because when we don't understand what another person goes through, especially somebody that we're in a relationship with, how could we ever show up to be a loving, supportive partner to that person? How could we ever build trust? How could that person ever really feel seen and understood? So I don't want men to believe that there are not women that do not want to empathize with them. There are. I'm definitely one of them. And I feel that I couldn't know what kind of person I was if I didn't want to empathize with other people. That's just literally what makes life meaningful for me, is to understand other people and to know how to support them. That's the best offering of a friendship that you could offer. When a woman is not empathic, just understand that she's dealing with a struggle and a stress, and maybe even a cultural programming that she's come out of. Maybe she came out of an environment where nobody cared about anybody. Everyone was about themselves. And that's something specific to her. That's not something that all women feel.
Due to the differences in socialization and cultural norms. Men are constantly being told to man up because emotions are weak and real men don't cry. Just as much as it has desensitized men, it has also created an emotional desensitization in the eyes of women for men. This has caused women to dislike men they view as emotional. When most women see men, they see them as impenetrable and indestructible. The fact that he's still only human with human emotions and feelings falls by the wayside.
If that happens and you're with somebody who doesn't care about your emotions and doesn't see that you have them and doesn't know how to nurture them, that's something that they have either been trained to avoid, not support, or see. And that's something that you can help them develop as a man. You can say, hey, why don't you care about how I feel? Why don't you ever really want to know? The truth is that people don't come into relationships perfect. There's work to do in relationships to develop one another, to become better human beings. And that involves emotional intelligence building. It involves bringing awareness to each other of what your needs are, what your values are, what your need for support is, and really working together to develop that union. And you do this for her, and she does this for you. And over time, you become better at being able to have that conversation. To simply say women don't care about men's emotions, first of all, that's a self-centered woman who doesn't care about your emotions. And if you find yourself with a person like that, you have two choices. You either tell her what the expectation is, that you want to be able to matter, and you help her understand what your struggles are and how she can better nurture you. And if she doesn't reciprocate, if she's not interested in that, then it's time for you to move on. But to believe that there are no women who care about the emotions of men is very damaging to a man. It's damaging to your psyche. It's damaging to your heart and your spirit. You might have grown up in a scenario where the women around you didn't care about the men. And you could be picking more women in your life that are mirroring what you came from. But that's something that you can own. That's a wound you can own, and you can say, hey, I just realized I'm picking my grandmother, I'm picking my mother, I'm picking the women who show me how invalid I am in my emotional needs. But to allow somebody to treat you that way, it can be very damaging to your heart, your emotions, your spirit, and your psyche.
As most women like emotionally unavailable men. We as humans tend to want what we feel that we can't have. We want what's just out of reach for us. Most of the time, you'll find that women even themselves don't know why they're attracted to men like this. You'll hear,
this is a highly damaged person and unconscious person. If you are a person that is attracted to somebody that you don't know why, and it just says that you don't know anything about yourself, that you don't have a clue about how you're operating, why you're operating that way, you haven't done the processing work to know yourself yet. So that's not a great partner. That's not somebody who's going to be able to give you a relationship that's mature.
Hear them say things like, I don't know, it's just something about him. This psychological phenomenon can be explained by these 4 factors. 1, the scarcity principle. People tend to place a higher value on things that are rare or in short supply. When something is difficult to obtain or seems unobtainable, the desire for it increases. 2, the challenge factor. The challenge
that works only with people who don't have a relationship with themselves. If they don't know who they are, they're objectifying people. They're looking at a facade of what they think you are, and they're coming for you for that reason. They generally are targeting you. They're targeting you for whatever it is that they think they want from you. That's not somebody trying to have a relationship with you. That's someone trying to have a relationship to one up with you, to get something from you. That's a huge red flag.
Of pursuing something that's difficult to obtain is usually part of the appeal. The thrill of the chase and the excitement of possibly getting the one that's unavailable can make the desired outcome even more desirable. 3, the intrigue of the forbidden fruit. People are attracted to things that are off limits or prohibited. It's part of our curiosity as humans. So the idea of obtaining something that's restricted or prohibited can be intriguing and therefore increase the intrigue of it, which increases the desire for it. 4,
Again, that's just mirroring wounds that haven't been processed. Maybe you have an abandonment wound. Maybe you have a wound where your parents were never around for you. Your father, your mother never gave you the type of attention, validation that you needed to know that you had self-worth and that you mattered and that you should be investing in yourself. If you don't have self-worth, you're going to go out there and objectify other people and try to gain something for yourself that will make you feel better about yourself. Again, this is a red flag. You don't want to be in a position where you're in a relationship with someone like this. The truth is that they need to be working on themselves before they're really ready for a relationship. Being targeted and objectified for what you can bring to somebody is how they build their sense of identity through you and your accomplishments or your material wealth or what they think that you can give them. They're projecting a fantasy on you like a canvas. It's the scariest form of relationship you can find yourself in. This is not normal. That's why I felt the need to really react to this, because she's talking about it like it's just normal, but it's extremely dangerous and dysfunctional. And if you meet people in the culture like this who are treating you this way, it should be a very big red flag for you to step away and find different traits that you're looking for in individuals.
Is the ego boost. The pursuit of something that's difficult to obtain can be a way of boosting someone's self-esteem and self-worth and sense of self. The pursuit of something that's difficult to obtain can be a way of boosting someone's self-esteem and self-worth. The sense of accomplishment that results from finally obtaining something that you desire causes your self-confidence to skyrocket. So those are the 4 reasons why women.
That's exactly what I was just saying. Like, they want to use you for their own gain. It has nothing to do with you. You're just being objectified for what you can give another person, not so much that they see you and they respect you and they look up to you and they want to have a relationship with you. If you're meeting women or men in the environment out there like this, run.
Women tend to like emotionally unavailable men. Reality number 6 is a woman will constantly test you. I have a detailed video on why women test you and how to pass them coming soon, but essentially a woman will test you for many different reasons, but the common ones are, number 1 is she's assessing compatibility. Women will test to determine if you're a good match for a potential partner. Number 2, she's evaluating trustworthiness. Women will test men to see if they can trust them. Number 3, she's measuring confidence. Women will test men to see if they are confident and self-assured. Number 4, she's gauging interest. Women will test men to see if they're truly interested in them. Number 5, she's determining boundaries. Women will test men to see what they're able to get away with and what you're not willing to tolerate in a relationship.
Okay. She was true up until that point. Not all women, especially not me. I'm not testing boundaries to see what I can get away with. That's a devious mindset. If you've got somebody trying to test boundaries and push boundaries, you're probably dealing with a sociopath. Normal, healthy people don't try to test boundaries and push you and see everything they can get from you. That's another red flag if you see that happening.
Reality number 7, the main thing all women want is security. No matter the type of woman that you're dealing with, women innately want to feel secure with a man in every single facet of life, monetarily, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Yes, the world has changed and women are more independent, free-willed, and self-sufficient now more than ever. But a woman's instinctive desire to feel protected by a man hasn't gone anywhere. It's a hardwired instinct that even the most independent woman will bow to.
It's true. I don't want to make it seem that if you're not a baller and you don't have lots of money and status that keeps you out of the dating pool. It absolutely does not. A lot of times what you might lack in one arena, you can make up for in a different arena, and that woman will receive that. And that can still build the sense of safety. So let's just say this. Maybe you're a person who doesn't make a lot of money at the job that you are in, but you're very emotionally supportive, you're very spiritually supportive, you're kind, you listen, you're gentle, you care, you show up and make her feel special. Maybe instead of being able to buy her something that's really expensive or some lavish dinner or something like that, you do something that signifies her interests and that she knows that you understand who she is. Maybe she likes to go dancing and that's what you do with her. Whatever it is that she likes, you can make up for those deficits in one field with another. But it is important to a woman's safety, psychological, emotional, physical, and financial. And then when it comes to financial, as I've said, it doesn't always mean that you have to have a lot of money or status or material. It just means that you're stable, that she can depend upon your ability to get through struggles without destabilizing yourself and her life as well. So maybe things are difficult at that job, but you're willing to see it through until you have another opportunity. This creates stability. So I don't want men to think that if you don't have lots and lots of money, that there's not great, beautiful, and credible women out there for you. I really hope that you all understand that there are many different types of women in the world. There's not one truth about all women, and there's not one truth about all men. And it's really important to embrace that if you are looking for a strong relationship and you really want to grow deep in that relationship, that opening up to one another emotionally, sharing your truth with one another, that's how you do it. That's how it's achieved. And not to be afraid to embrace what it is that you really desire. If you really desire to know someone and have them know you, then present that in the relationship, present that in the opening. And don't allow this baggage that both people come in with to not be dealt with, because you both have an opportunity to help each other unpack that baggage and to really get to know each other and the trauma that you've been with, so that you can support one another and help each other grow and heal. My name is Dawn the Empath. If you have any reaction videos you'd like me to react to, or any topics you'd like me to empathically unpack for you, please leave those in the comments section below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Be well.